identity. It will happen to you. It has happened to us in so many ways. It is one of the biggest problems that is being experienced by the people of the Middle Belt. One of the biggest problems that they are experiencing right now. What are the types of identity? Are there types of identity? What are the types of identity? In identity, we have mutable and immutable identity. We have mutable and immutable identities. And if I dive into this now, I'm going to be going contrary to a lot of great minds within the circle of Pan-Africanism. But I'm going to attempt as best as I can to challenge the very foundation of how you and I have been taught to define ourselves. It is my desire to challenge, or to attempt, humbly speaking, to challenge the very foundation of how you and I have been taught to define ourselves. I want to strip away that form of identity, that certificate, that church, that mosque, that label or labels that has been given to you, to myself, to people across the aisles, by people across the oceans, in order to conquer us. The fundamental truth that even the most radical sociologists agree upon is that identity is indeed fluid, that human beings change. But in that very architecture of human existence, there is and there must be a hierarchy of identity. In other words, some identity, when put on the scale, must weigh more than the other. Some identity, when faced with a challenge, should weigh more than the other. Like I said before, there are things that are mutable, there are things that are immutable, there are things that are prone to shifting with just a minor change in behavior, with geography, with political climate. And there are things that are immutably carved into your very DNA by the dust and blood of your ancestors. You really cannot be in your right senses, respectfully speaking, if you should compare the things that are carved into your DNA with the things that can be changed with just one word, or just change of geography, or just some confession or some prayer. You can't possibly compare the two. You cannot. If an identity can vanish with a simple change of behavior, it is not your core identity. Let me even start with the most ridiculous example. You know, somebody can be identified as a drunkard, and that becomes a person's identity. When the person stops being a drunkard, do you identify that person, that individual, as a drunkard anymore? When somebody is a thief, that has become his identity. I'm just starting from the very ridiculously extreme aspect of this theory of a mutable identity. And the most trivial in the hierarchy of identity. It is not your core identity if that identity can be replaced or can just vanish simply because you make a recitation or because you said some prayer or because you change your location. If any of this simple change can cause that identity to vanish, then it is not your core identity. I am speaking to Biafrans. This is a collective code on Radio Biafra London, and you are still hooked with me, Mazi OBASI. And what we are discussing is, in the context of Biafra, what is your identity? What is your ideology? And what is your philosophy? We are still on the identity. In case you are joining us right now, it is 10 minutes on top of the hour. If you can wake up tomorrow, announce a conversion, and suddenly become a Christian, a Muslim, an atheist, that identity is, with all due respect, that identity is a costume. It is a choice. It can change with a prayer or declaration. That identity, in the hierarchy of your identity, it is one of the lowest in the ladder. As a matter of fact, taking a religious identity is one of the false identities that I can list without missing word, because I don't think you are because you do, or you are because you practice. You can only be because you are. I am that I am, even though some of you say it is I am that I am, which is completely, a negation of its Hebrew translation. I am that I am. I won't go into that today. What you practice cannot be you as an identity that you consider to be core, immutable, and you can even die for. It is not even your profession. Religion, in the order of things, is not even up to the level of your profession, because profession is what you actually do. Apologies, family as usual. Your profession is even what it is part of you. Is what you are expert in. But let's just concede that this can all be part of your identity. Let's just concede for a moment that can be part of your identity. But how strong can that identity be? How strong is that identity? And to what extent do you need to protect it? That is when you understand the hierarchy of identity and the law of fluidity that goes with it. If you're a lawyer, your identity is your profession. But let me ask you a question. When you as an Ibibio lawyer, when you as a Kalabari lawyer, when you as an Urobo lawyer, you have a meeting of 30 lawyers, and you have 5 lawyers from Yoruba, you have another 5 from Hausa, you have another 5 Fulani, you have another 5 from Igira, and then you have another 4 from maybe Taraba. And there is a meeting that says we as lawyers must come together and ensure that we ensure that no case presented by any Urobo man or Kalabari man will be won in Nigeria. What will you do? Will you defend your profession, or will you defend your ethnicity? Understand that this both are your identities. That's what I said, that I believe in the fluidity of identity, but I also believe in the hierarchy of identity. The day you are derobed, you no longer identify as a lawyer. That is a simple thing that can happen, and you lose that identity. So if that identity can vanish by any kind of act, then that identity is a costume. It is something you can put on for conveniency and remove it when it's not convenient. Yes, we allow this fluid. We shift behavioral labels here and there. Even the worst, the false identities that are foisted upon us by colonial masters, we still work with it. But if we want to sit supreme, if we want to take our place back, if we want to achieve this freedom that we so much desire and clamor for, the only identity that can place us in that position is that identity that is unchangeable. That identity that is immutable. That identity that does not change by a stroke of pen, that does not change by anything. And together we can choose for ourselves a collective identity. You can change your religion, but you cannot change who your ancestors were. So tonight, I argue and I discuss and I present to you the absolute supremacy of an unchangeable form of identity over some synthetic, unnatural construct, irrespective of who propagated it. So what is your identity? Why is identity that important? Because every identity you subscribe to is based on an ideology. Every identity is based on a philosophy of the people. Every identity you have today is based on a philosophy. So if you take an identity that is not consistent with your philosophy, with your ideology, that identity will keep you subject to anyone or group of people whose philosophy and ideology that identity is ascribed to, or that identity originates from. It is important that we understand this. What we call colonization is nothing but the extension of identity, ideology, and philosophy. The process of colonization of a people is said to be complete, is said to be successful when the identity, the ideology, and the philosophy of the colonial masters or colonial rulers is manifest in the colony. So you think you are smarter because you speak English. You think you are rich because you wear some foreign brands. You think you are better dressed because you wear suit and tie. I'm not saying don't wear them. I'm not saying don't speak English. I speak English right now. That's what I'm communicating with you with. Unfortunately for me, I don't even think I can last this long speaking my own native language, which is unfortunate. I'm shameful to say. But do I now get to a point where I deceive myself thinking that because I speak this, I am, by some reason, or that my ability to speak English to this little extent has conferred on me some level of sophistication? I mean, no. So we must understand that with every identity comes an ideology. With every identity comes with ideology. And the philosophy in this context is simply the love of that ideology, which is what some of us may call patriotism when it is exhibited towards a nation or a country. So let me ask you, that identity today that you are willing to fight and die for, what is the ideology behind that identity? I want to ask you. Where does it originate from? How fluid is that ideology? How concrete, how embedded to your DNA is that ideology? Is it changeable? I would prefer to say that I practice Christianity than to say I am a Christian. Because what you are, you become. I can say that I practice Christianity, I practice Islam, I practice Hinduism, I practice Buddhism, I practice anything. And my statement and my sentence will still be grammatically correct. Try it. But I cannot say I practice Igbo. I practice Igboism. I practice Ibibioism. I practice Efekism. I don't even know what that is. Because there's no such thing. There is no ism to it. There is no ism to it. I can't say I practice Urobo. It will make no grammatical sense. Rules of grammar are there for a reason and for a purpose. I can say I believe in Christianity. I can say I believe in Islam. I believe in Hinduism. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, when he was asked about his faith, he said that he practiced Judaism because he believed it is the closest to the tradition of his ancestors. Practice is what you practice. That is why today you hear the contemporary pastors trying to tell you that Christianity is not a religion but a way of life. That is a very deep philosophical statement that you just take on the surface. It is an attempt to whitewash religion for what it is and to make it a lifestyle, because guess what? What you live day to day is who you become, because a lifestyle is an ideology. And when you make that your own lifestyle, it becomes your philosophy. Everything you do will be measured by what does that religion say. But now you are told it is a lifestyle. Please, please, do not misunderstand what I'm saying. I have no problem with any religion at all. I believe people have the right to worship whatever they may, whoever they may, and to do so according to their own dictate of their conscience. That is their decision. But we are speaking here as Biafrans, and I can say this confidently because I know that our religious identity is not as important as our Biafran identity. So I am saying this counting on the fact that you, as a Biafran, you are enlightened enough to know that this is not in the order of the hierarchy of identity, that this is not even anywhere close to the top. So your identity, what is that identity embedded upon? On what foundation is it laid? In the Bible, Jesus Christ once admonished his followers not to build their house by telling them a parable of a wise man, not to build their house on the sand, because the wise man built his house on a rock. So that when the wave of the sea comes, it does not wash the house away. So why will you build something as important, something that is not just where your body lives, something that has to do with your body and spirit? Identity is important because even when you die, you are going to be identified. Or else, those who believe in judgment should tell me how you are going to be judged if you will not be identified by who you are and therefore the acts that you have committed or omitted when you were in mortality. Therefore, identity is important, even more than a house. So why build your identity on something that the wave of the sea can wash off? And by wave of the sea, I mean a simple confession, a simple change of mind can just make it go away. Why should you build your identity on that? Let's consider the identity of Nigeria. What is Nigeria? A corporate real estate venture drawn up by Flora Shaw and Lugard in 1914 for the simple purpose of administrative convenience. This identity that has now been sold to you from 1914 is simple and artificial cage holding distinct nation hostage under a single flag, another identity. This is nothing but a false identity. A business venture that was formed just for administrative convenience by two most ungodly beings I have ever read about. And that identity that was created and forced on you has now become a cage that has kept many nations hostage under this single flag. That is why I tell you that every identity is deeply rooted in ideology. And what was the ideology behind Nigeria? The ideology behind Nigeria is subjugation. Take these people, put them together, extract from them, never let them progress. You wonder why there can never be stable light in Nigeria? You wonder why? You that claim to be a Christian, go and read your Bible. The first thing in the history of what you may call creation, I don't call it creation, I call it organization of the earth. In the book of Genesis, the first word or creative word that was uttered is let there be light. Why? Because before light, there was darkness upon the surface, upon the deep. There was darkness. Fill the entire space. And when you walk into a dark room, a dark space, and you want to organize it, what do? You put on the light. Therefore, light becomes the first thing that The God of the Bible decided to summon, and light appeared. And then, okay, I see. This place was dark. The Spirit of God was hovering upon the sea and upon the waters. And he said, okay, what happened? This water is too much. Everywhere is water. Okay, you move this way. Let the earth move this way. Let me see where to stand and start this work. Water was in existence. Earth was in existence. I'm not going there today. So you understand why you cannot have light. Because the ideology behind the identity Nigeria has got nothing to do with progress. And as such, that very important first element that needs to precede every developmental project cannot be given to you. It just cannot. As a simple rule, it just cannot exist. So that these nations can remain under the subjugation and cage of this single flag that is a symbol of that ideology. And they're praising a man for they praise a man and write his name in history because he put two colors together. Bring green, bring white, bring green. For some reason, that makes him a national figure. What level of creativity and deep thinking do you have to have for you to put two colors together? Just tell me. That is why even in your flag, in your coat of arms, everything you have in those coat of arms, how many of them are traditional to any of the nations that makes up even that forced contraption called Nigeria? Do you have eagle in your country? Do you have eagle in your cosmology? What is the meaning of eagle in your cosmology? What is it doing there? Like I said, that is a discussion for another day. Africa as an identity. How do you even put Africa? A name that is rooted in a Roman and European cartography. Sorry. Whether from the Afri tribes of the North Africa, or even the Latin replica of the empirical meaning the word sun. The continent, as we know it, never called itself Africa until the colonizers mapped it out as a partitioning. Or even if it's from that Africanus guy they talk about, none of it is from us. You now understand why an ideology that is based on that name, Africa, can simply not stand the test of any kind of intellectual scrutiny. It's a good idea to bring us together, one united force, fine. But if you want to get it right, you have to go back to how we live before these people come. You can't pick it. You can't do that. Some people say Akebulan. Akebulan is not an African name, it's an Arab name. So go find what that name is, what we called ourselves then. Some people call us black. It's also an identity. So some identity are not just fluid, some identity are disrespectful to who you are. But as a Biafran, what is your identity? The black, we all know, is a colonial construct. In fact, for you to understand the ideology that we have, myself as an Igbo Biafran, we have a saying that maybe not many of us have paid attention to. When we have somebody who is very fair, and we are praising that person or eulogizing that person, we said, Onyo chakonyo jimma. Do you know what that means? Onyo chakonyo jimma. It means a fair man or a fair person who is more handsome or more beautiful than a black person. It means that ordinarily, a black skin, or what you call a black skin today, a dark skin colored person, is naturally more beautiful and more handsome than a fair skinned person. That is why when you are fair and you are handsome or beautiful, you attract such accolade because it's unusual. Because it is unusual. And that should explain something to you that is deeper than the meaning you ascribe to skin colors. That is why you understand that in every identity, there is an ideology behind it. So as a Biafran, what is the most important of all the identities that we have all mashed up together to represent us? The most important in the hierarchy of your identity is that which describes you and nobody else. It means you or your kind. That which is rooted in blood and ancestry. I will say to you today, and I'm responsible for this, I absolve the leadership for what I'm about to say because it's not, I'm on radio, so my words should be very carefully thought out, but I'm going to explain. I want to say that even your identity as a Biafran is not highest in the hierarchy of your identity like it is of your tribe. It is for the sake of survival that we come together and form the national identity, which is Biafra. So you have, first of all, your ethnic or tribal identity, and second of all, your national identity. So I am a Biafran by nationality, and I am Igbo man by tribe. And if we understand this, we each nations and tribe and ethnicity that makes up Biafran will proudly identify ourselves by our tribe and by our nation, Biafra. You should not have any qualms coming to a radio Biafra and said, my name is this so and so, and I am an Ibibio Biafran. My name is so and so, and I am an Igudomigudo Biafran, like one of my comrades will always say. My name is so and so, and I am an Igbo Biafran. My name is so and so, and I am an Igede Biafran. Be proud of that. Because that is your identity first. Tomorrow, we can choose that. We can come together. The leadership have said it many times. Mazi have said it many times. Tomorrow, we can come together and say, you know what? This name Biafra, we don't want it again. We want a new name. We can change it. But you can never change Urobo. You can never change Isoko. You can never change Igede. You can never change Igbo. You can never change Ibibio. You can never change Anang. You can never change Efik. It is your inbuilt identity, that which is completely immutable. It is built into your ancestry and nothing can stop it. That is why when we are speaking about protecting that which belongs to us as a people, and you are bringing a foreign-based ideology, I am sad. You go to the village during a wedding, somebody will tell you, no, I don't break kola, I am a Christian. Somebody will tell you, no, I don't pour, don't bring palm wine, just make it money because I'm a Christian. That is when you are whitewashing your identity with a religion. You are free to practice your religion, but understand that what you call tradition today was once an ideology. When ideology is successfully transferred across generation, it becomes a tradition. When ideology is successfully transferred across tradition, or across generation, it is called tradition. So let me just give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm trying to say. As in number now, we talk about Omenala or the Bendi. Omenala bring us all together because it came directly from our progenitor. It came from our progenitor. It came from Nnamdi. Wherever you come from, it comes from that first person, that first people that populate you. But do you understand what they have to go through to establish that ideology? It is deviation from this ideology that has exposed us as a people to a lot of unnecessary things. It is that mistake that is costing us till today, because we live by this ideology, and that is embedded deeply into an identity that we all call ours. Because when you ask an Igbo man, who is an Igbo man? I want to speak about an Igbo because that is who I am. That's where I'm from. I'm an Igbo man. When you see an Igbo man, you say this is how they dress. When you see an Igbo man, you say they pray with the kola. When you see an Igbo man, you say they perform libation. I don't call it pouring, I call it performing. Pouring is the act of pouring the wine, but what you do when you pour the wine is performing a libation. That's how I choose to call it. It's not written in stone. When you see an Igbo person, you say, Ndi Igbo, that's how they marry. That is how they do this. When you begin to pick and choose which one you practice, you don't know where that is coming from, and you want to replace it with something that is originally not from you, because what you call truth is nothing in a simple form. Every philosopher will tell you that when you ask the question, what is truth? You are going to have as many meanings as possible. But in the end, every meaning, every definition points to one thing. Truth is simply the original information. That original idea, that original concept, that is what is truth. So when you read the Bible, it tells you that you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Today, in Christendom, we have Catholicism, we have Mormonism, we have Anglicanism, we have, Protestantism, we have a lot of, movement in Christianity, a lot of ideology, a lot of concept. What that place is simply telling you is, if you want to be free, you have to know the truth. What is the truth? The truth is that gospel, the way it was intended by whoever brought it. The original idea of Christianity by Jesus Christ himself, that is the truth. Until you find that, you cannot be set free. So we are talking about freedom. It is in our ideology as a people that we do not shed the blood of each other. We don't. Prostitution is prohibited in the ideology of the Igbo people. At least that one I know. And I believe there is no nation under Biafra that their tradition does not prohibit that. Our ideology prohibits certain acts, and our ideology encourages respect for elders, encourages hard work, encourages honesty, integrity, selflessness, probity, accountability. This is the ideology of our forefathers. The moment we deviate from it, we have lost the truth, and we shall not be free. We can't be free in that circumstance. We simply cannot. So when you hear that some people, we are all Igbo, but these people do their own this way, we, you know, Oka, Naso, what do they call it? It is because in the course of migration, you know, in the ancient time when men were gods, people don't just migrate for the sake of migration. They migrate to new place, and as they do so, they always move with a spiritualist, with a dibia. When they arrive at a place where they feel is okay for them, the dibia will have to divine and find out this part of the place, this part of the forest, this place we want to settle, will it favor us? We want to consult the territorial spirit, the territorial authority guarding and protecting and administering affairs of that territory to find out what can we do to be successful in this part of the forest. And that territorial authority will inform the priest, the dibia. You have to avoid this. Don't go to the river on a K market day. That's my own day. Don't do this. Don't kill yourself. Don't marry your sister. Don't marry your brother. Don't do that. Don't steal from this. They will give you those rules. And when that rule is given, so once you leave these rules, you are going to live on this land, and this land shall favor you. That is why in every culture, in every land, in every language, the laws of those people are always called the law of the land. Because as Igbo people, Chukwu is not the giver of law. Allah is the giver of law. That is why when you offend the law, it is the land, the earth that chases you. Allah Chuaga also. Today I'm deviating too much in a topic I really don't like talking about because people have their own point of views. But I want you to understand that when you now see an Igbo man saying that, I don't do this, I don't do that, where I come from, we don't do this, where I come from, it is the person is simply telling you his ideology that is deeply embedded in his identity. So the moment you switch identity and you make certain washable, mutable identity to become paramount, to become the highest in your level of identity, you will lose the essence with which you exist. And then you begin to blame every other things for your problems. So identity and ideology, philosophy goes together. So that becomes your ideology once again as an Igbo man, because that's the only one I can speak to. As an Igbo man, what is your philosophy? Your philosophy is that now it is a philosophy. Which is simply that if you work hard, you get to marry. It is our philosophy that yes, but we respect our elders, and we also believe that one person does not raise a child. So when you make few million naira and you buy little cars and you come to your village and you speak to your elder anyhow, you are not an Igbo man. You are taking upon you the identity and culture that is foreign to us. Because we don't do that where we come from. You don't say because you've been able to buy your Honda Civic, buy your Corolla or whatever, you come home and when an elder is speaking because you feel you look fresher, you have some few coins in your pocket, you say, sit down. That is arrant nonsense. It is not consistent with our ideology, and therefore, check your identity very well. Because the moment you identify yourself as an Igbo man or woman, you will not do that. You won't do that. So what identity are you picking? It is this absorption of false identity or the elevation of lower identity to the highest hierarchy in your identity table that causes Soludo, the governor of Anambra State, to be misbehaving. Because he now thinks that he is more Christian than Igbo. He now thinks that he is more Anglican than Igbo. What is the ideology behind that Anglican identity? Go and ask. If I say it, you will say, I'm castigated. But the reality is a matter of history. It is there. A king want to do something, Rome said you cannot do it. He said, if you cannot let me do it, I'll form my own. He formed his own. He said, you know what? If you're a priest and you want to follow me, I'll let you marry. So come around and let's do this. And Church of England was formed. Anglican. Today is Anglican. It was CMS at once. Now it's Anglican. What is the ideology behind the identity that you are holding so dear? Ask yourself that. What is the ideology behind that identity? You don't know that as an Igbo man, that there are certain funeral rites that has to last for 4 days. Because the things you do on a K-market day cannot be done on a for-market day. The things you do on a for-market day cannot be done on Oye market day. The thing you do on Oye market day cannot be done on Onko market day. There are certain funerals, especially when you are performing the final funeral rites, you don't do it one day. And somebody who is of Igbo blood and descent forget his identity, take up different identity, and now said, you have to do it the way I want it. Who the heck are you? Even the name you are bearing is not your name. You have not even lived enough for any family to be named after you. Do you know what it means for the surname you are bearing to be institutionalized and become a surname that your entire family bears? Do you know what it means? I bear OBASI. Do you know what it means? Do you know how far back in my lineage is the man OBASI? You think you just wake up and bear surname? You've not even lived. You've not even have anything that can be ascribed to your name that generations can stand for. And you are changing, you are making changes in a very arbitrary manner without even understanding the simple concept behind it or even caring to understand. That is the kind of danger that we expose ourselves to when we adopt an identity that is not ours, and not just that, when we elevate that identity above all. There are Christian Yorubas. There are Christian Hausas. There are Christians Fulanis, as we have at least begin to see now on social media. And that shall never end. There are Christian Birom. There are Christian Jukun. There are Christian Igbo. There are Christian Efik. But when you meet together as that Christian, when you are going home, how do you go home? If you meet together as a Christian of these tribes put together and they say that tomorrow we are going to raise arm and fight the Christians from Anambra, or Christians that are, Igbo, because Anambra is not an identity. It's a political construct. They are going to fight you as an Igbo person. Fight Igbo Christians. Will you sit down there and keep quiet? Or let me even give you a better example. If you come together as Christians in Nigeria, made up of every tribe in Nigeria today, Yoruba, every tribe come together and say, okay, we want to raise arm and fight traditionalists or those who practice traditional spirituality that are Igbo people, or traditionalists that are Orobo people. As a Christian who is Orobo in that gathering, what will be your stance? Will you come home and keep quiet and then they will now prepare and come and wipe your entire kindred because they are not Christians? If you are a Muslim, that you are an Igbo person, and the Muslim Ummah in Nigeria comes together and plan that we want to wipe out the entire Igbo, but we will spare those who are Muslim, will you keep quiet for that to happen? If your answer is yes, then you don't understand your identity. You don't understand the hierarchy of identity and which is paramount. You can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm no longer a Muslim. You can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm no longer a Christian. And immediately you have lost that identity. But there is nothing on this earth that will happen to you for you to lose your Urobo identity, your Isoko identity, your Izon identity. You cannot lose it. That is what makes it paramount. And together, we have put this identity in nationhood and say, we are Biafrans. And the reason this idea of Biafra, this identity of Biafra, become next in the order of importance after your tribal or ethnic identity is because we have lost over 5 million. Over 5 million. Over 5 million souls to defend that name. Over 5 million. We sacrificed. Our people were starved to death. Children, lactating mothers, babies, breastfeeding mothers were starved to death. Some of them eaten alive by flies because of that name. And that name comes with ideology. And that ideology is self-determination, self-preservation. Better life for all, protection of all, indigenous rights. That is the ideology behind that name. And that is why, of all your identities, is the second most important after only to your ethnic identity. In this order of importance, your religion does not even come. The reason and the only reason why Biafra comes second is because of what has been lost to protect it. Not a blood written in books, not some history written somewhere in books. No, This one is right beside you. Your own brothers, your uncles, your fathers, your forefathers, your aunties. It was their blood. Not some Roman Empire, not something that happened in Canaan, not something that happened in Palestine. No, this one is right beside you. You cannot ask up to 3 generations without finding one member of your family that was among these 5 million plus that have lost their life in preservation of that identity. There is none. There is none. And that is why you must consider that the second most important. I'm a Christian. I'm a traditionalist. That is not an identity. That's what you practice. I practice traditional religion, or I practice traditional spirituality, or I worship God through traditional means. I worship God through Igbo cosmology. I honor my ancestors through Igbo cosmology. You can call that, but that is not an identity. So when you go to the village, when you speak to your brother, don't say Ndi Nagoka, Ndi Ogommo. Even you that is calling Nduka Ndi Ogommo, didn't your own Bible say that your God is a spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit? When he was having that chit chat with the lady at the well. So it is important that we understand the hierarchy of the identity that we ascribe to and the philosophy behind it. If you adopt an identity whose ideology is in the heart of disputing what has been a scientific evidence from time immemorial, it means that you will live your entire life questioning every other scientific evidence that are basically immutable. Ndagwa, you know what I'm talking about if you understand what I mean. I'm not going to talk about that in details. So it is important that we identify ourselves properly. There should not be any division between 2 Igbo brothers, 2 Igbo sisters, 2 Igbo families, 2 ethnic brothers, 2 ethnic sisters, 2 ethnic family, Ibibio brothers, Ibibio sisters, an Urobo brother, Urobo sister, Urobo family. There should not be division amongst you on the basis of a very trivial identity such as religion. There must not be. There must not be. There must not be. Because the first thing you will have to think about is that most important, that identity that is unchangeable, and that will inform your ideology. We have individual ideology and we have organizational ideology or a governmental ideology. IPOB as an institution, and in that sense, a government, has the ideology. Ideology of IPOB is that we want to restore Biafra through a non-violent means. A non-violent means. Non-violent means. So you know that immediately you identify yourself as an IPOB member, you are subject to that ideology. So that is why I ask, in the context of Biafra, what is your identity? What is your ideology? And what is your philosophy? So you cannot call yourself an IPOB and you will be enjoying violence. You cannot call yourself an IPOB and you will be enjoying woto. You cannot call yourself an IPOB and you will say that violence is the way. Once you say that, you are no longer in tune with the ideology that comes with that identity called IPOB. Because when they call you IPOP, these IPOP people, hip-hop, like the late poet says, also know hip-hop. When they call you by that identity, it becomes an identity, but maybe you don't know it's an identity. They have identified you as an IPOB. There was Masob. There are autopilot. There are all sorts of names. But you are an IPOB. That makes you distinct. That is why when Ekberima was trying to encroach on that identity, the leadership of IPOB stood their ground and ensured that he does not. Because what he is doing is not consistent with the ideology of IPOB. So we cannot allow him usurp that identity. What Lolo Nneka is doing now, she is not an IPOB member, but what she's doing is consistent with the ideology of IPOB, and therefore we have no problem with her. Every IPOB member cannot have problem with her because her actions, her words is at least for now consistent with the ideology of IPOB. The moment her utterances, her conduct, her act goes contrary to the core ideology that establishes IPOB, she will be informed. In whichever manner necessary, she will be informed. We can't stop her from being whatever she wants to be. We can't stop anybody. If you are a Berima follower, please, if you're an autopilot, be proud and bear your name. Whatever you are, bear your name. We are okay with it. Everybody in Biafra can never be an IPB member. That is a reality that we must all live with. But the moment you choose to take upon yourself that name, that identity, that is what the Christian will say, if you covenant to take upon yourself the name of Christ, you are now a Christian, isn't it? The moment you take upon yourself that name IPOB, you must be subject to the ideology of IPOB. And that ideology is self-determination through non-violence. You cannot call yourself IPOB and you are wreaking havoc in the Biafran land. You can't be an IPOB. You simply cannot. If we find you, Anyego Chazo, doesn't matter who you are. Anyego Chazo, you will be disfellowshipped. It's as simple as that. You'll be disfellowshipped. And if possible, excommunicated. Because it is your ideology that protects your identity. Without ideology, you cannot protect your identity. Therefore, what is your ideology as a Biafran? As an IPOB member, what is your ideology? Is your ideology the notion somewhere in your little mind that your religion is paramount, or that violence is the way? Then you cannot be a Biafran, you cannot be an IPB member with that ideology. You can't. So ask yourself, before you are part of any identity, what is their ideology? The ideology of Biafra, we know where it comes from. It was predicated on the desire to end the suffering of a people. And these people came together. So for you to have successfully what you call an ideology, you must go through certain steps. The precept. Precept is that first thought, that light bulb, that thing that lights in your mind, and you begin to think, they have killed my people. They've been killing us. How do we do? That thought that flashes your mind before you begin to think is the idea of precept. From the precept, you move to a level you can say that this is a concept. What is the concept? You have an idea that our people are being unalive. Our people are being killed in different parts of the zoo. And you ask yourself, what concept can I come up with that will protect our people? Okay, there should be some confederation. How do we make this confederation? You call people. Okay, I'm going to call people. At that point, an idea has been born. An idea has been born. When that idea is born, you are now at the stage that only you understand what you are having. Only you understand your vision. Because the vision you have cannot be easily explicable. You can't explain it easily because it is not the vision of the sight. It's a vision of the mind, the vision of the heart. Your heart can see farther than your eyes can see. I mean. So how do you explain to these people a concept that is not yet physical? That is why in manufacturing, when you have the idea, you are able to build what we call the concept product. Not the real product itself, but something, a concept that you can show an investor to be able to do what? To convince them. So at the point that this idea has become live in your mind, the next point is, how do I convince these people that are going to go on this journey with me, that this journey is worth it? Then that is when you put together what we call ideology. Ideology is the vehicle through which you convince people to believe in your concept. It's the study of idea. That's why it's called ideology. So when you present your idea, this is the framework through which you study my idea. My idea is that we want Biafra. Biafra must be restored. If we must restore it, we have to go through non-violent way because our people have been killed enough. We are choosing non-violent. We want referendum because this country and that country have done it. We want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. This is how we are going to go. This is what we are going to do. This is as far as I can see. What do you think? The very moment the people are convinced, they now become believers. Once you are convinced, you have a belief. So conviction comes before belief. Once you have that belief, you now become a follower. You become a believer. You believe in that concept. You believe in that idea, that ideology. You believe in it because in the eyes of your mind, it is achievable, it is practicable, and you are at peace with it when it was presented to you. Then the moment you now fall in love with that idea, it now becomes part of you. It becomes, you live by its philosophy. Philosophy is simply the love of wisdom. In this context, the love of idea. You love the idea so much that you are living your life according to it. That's why you see people putting Biafran flag in their car, wearing Biafran attire, trying to paint their house in Biafran color, trying to name their children after people who are prominent in the history of Biafra. It is because they are now in love with that idea of Biafra, and that has become their philosophy. Everything they do reflects the Biafra in them. So what is your identity, your ideology, and your philosophy as a Biafran? What is your ideology, philosophy, or your identity? Once again, this is Radio Biafra London, and this is a collective code. With me, myself, and I, Mazi OBASI. And I want to thank you very much still for being here with me. It's been hours. And as I watch on the screen, I see the number keep growing. So thank you all very much for those who have made this program possible to go this far. This is the highest I have seen since I've started a few days ago. That is why when you have an idea, that is why leadership are responsible for projecting that idea. And that is why leadership is not science, it is an art. It is an art that you can never understand the end of the picture being put in place until the pieces are all fitted together. If you study certain things, you will understand your leadership from far. You will understand when certain things are going on without being told what they mean. I want to share with you a simple concept that I've observed from this leadership. A simple concept, a simple principle, of leadership that is being presented or that is being exhibited by this leadership. Because sometimes when you don't know these things, you will not understand when certain things are going on, and you will not be patient. In leadership, there is a concept that is generally referred to as the law of common concept. The law of common consent is a governing principle that is as old as leadership. is not always visible, but is very, very indirectly applied and can only be identified by those who pay attention. This principle or this concept simply mean that before certain key actions or decisions are taken or certain policy implementation or changes are made official, there must be some certain kind of acceptance by the people, majority of the people upon which that principle, that policy, that changes will take effect on. So you notice for the past months, one of the things that the people have accused this leadership of is that they are slow, that they delay. They want to answer the knock, you know, as if they're hot, like they call themselves. Answer knock, why are you wasting time? You know, do this. The same Igbo adage that tell you that emengwangwa emegaro dachi is another Igbo adage that say obanu bujieji omecha hunata na chawakoya. There are things that can be done in a hurry. There are things that can be done at the right time. Therefore, knowledge is knowing when to act. Is knowing how to act. But wisdom is knowing when to act. This principle is not to confer authority on the leaders. No. Not at all, because they already have the authority. It is to ensure that the action being taken receive wide support by the majority of the people. That is why you see we're talking about a little bit for the past month, institutionalizing IPOB, institutionalize here and there. We have program on X, we have program on radio, program everywhere, we're talking about that. And when these posts are made, when these things are discussed, you go to the comment section, you on your own, go to the comment section, read the comments there. If there are 100 comments, ask yourself how many of them have expressed support for that policy change. How many of them have said that they have long waited for this? You will see that across social media platform, across programs, that the desire for the institutionalization of IPOB has been extremely overwhelming. So when that decision is finally taken, the leadership are very much aware that they are not taking a decision based on what they think or based on their personal interest, but because the people want it and it will receive the support. This is embedded in the IPOB ideology that has been left sleeping for a long time. So ask yourself once again, what is your ideology? First of all, what is your identity? What is your ideology? What is your philosophy? Should any belief system that is foreign to us cause division and enmity between you and your close identical brother? And by identical, I mean that you are close in a more concrete identity with. The question is yours to answer. Once again, fellow Biafrans, thank you for being here with us. And at this very moment, we will go on a very, very short break, after which our phone lines will be open. And I hope that you are ready with your WhatsApp phone to call in, ask your questions, share with us your ideas. We would love to hear from you. We would love to know how this applies to you. We would love to know how you are preparing for the 30th of May also. If you have announcement also for your country, feel free to call and share your announcement so that the whole world will hear you and join you in that celebration. Ndewonu, I will be back in a few minutes.
100 bloody years ever since the British locked us in.
And this marriage, as they said it before, was like oil and brown.
It was teardropping when the folks in the British came and marched us with.
Then they took the knives, they sudden the bombs and killed our hundreds this day.
Oh, said my nation, free these men, let my people go. Oh, said my nation, free these Nigerian fellows. 1914 marriage did in war, said Biafra free. Oh, said my nation, free these Nigerian fellows. Yesterday was better, today bad, and tomorrow be worse, I know.
Cause some days got forsaken construction, this has been the tradition.
Through the years they've shut down factories in Biafra and then harvested us.
But still like the stars up there in the skies, we keep twinkling through the night.
Oh, said my nation, free these men, let my people go. Oh, said my nation, free these Nigerian fellows. 1914 marriage did in war, said Biafra free. Oh, said my nation, free these Nigerian fellows. In the dawn of time, the sun will rise at last, dancing, feeling good. Our songs will sing out loud, sing it out. In the dawn of time, the sun will rise at last, dancing, feeling good. Our songs will sing out loud. In the dawn of time, the sun will rise at last, dancing the golden streets of Biafra, where there will be no Nigerianism. Oh, save my nation, free these men.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. In few seconds, our lines will be on, so we can call in. The number is +44 7938 377 307. The WhatsApp number once again is +44 7938 377 307. At this moment, you can call in and share with us Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Fully, our call line on WhatsApp is +44 7938 377 307. You are welcome to call us on WhatsApp only. On WhatsApp only. You're welcome.
No,
You're welcome.
Yes, Mazi. Thank you so much. This is my first time of calling you. I just want to, first of all, to appreciate you, to encourage you. When you start it, something is not normally be easy for somebody just to start something which you have to lay a foundation. So you're laying your own foundation now. I want to encourage you, my brother, to continue the good work. Keep on educating our people. This program you did this evening was a very wonderful of identity. You know, when we talk about particular identity, I would like you even to go more on this particular program so that our people can be able to follow up and understand it more. Not only by just doing it for one day. I would like you to follow this program up at least 1 week, or even more. That's my own advice. And my Biafrans, people who are hearing our voice, please, this week is the G week we are talking about. Try to take a free day and go your various countries. People at home in Biafra land, please. There is no place they ask you to join, no place you will gather. You don't gather anywhere. Anybody that tell you to gather somewhere, you know that you are risking your life. Please don't gather anywhere. Nobody asks you to gather anywhere. The leadership is not aware of it. Please take note of that. Make sure that anything you are gathering, you are taking the risky on your own. Stay on your home. Do what you can do. If you can be able to share the other countries who are able to do the protest, you do so. Please, we know why we are saying it, because the enemy within are trying to make sure they set our people up. And our duty is to make sure we protect all of you. So now, Mazi, we say, may God will continue to bless you, keep you, for you, give you the encouragement for you to enlighten our people. You know, always my stamp, as you said,
Ndewo Mazi, Ndewo, thank you very much. Ndewo Mazi, thank you very, very much. Good to have you today. Yeah. Our call line, our WhatsApp call line is +44 7938 377 309. We will be going off air in the next 30 minutes, actually 24 minutes. Our call line once again is +44 7938 377 307. What is your identity? What is your ideology? And above all, what is your philosophy? What do you subscribe to? How does ideology affect you? How does your philosophy affect you? Understanding this will help us place us on the best path to freedom. Because if you know the truth, that truth can set you free. Why do we think that a foreign identity is more important than that which is inherent, that which is unwashable, that which cannot be deleted, that which is totally unwashable? That is our identity, and our ideology is deeply rooted in freedom. Freedom, self-determination as IPOB members, through peaceful clamoring, through peaceful agitation, through peaceful referendum, supervised referendum, not the one that somebody will go and gather 2 people under the tree and video them with phone camera and observe them by themselves, and then said, oh, we have declared a country, audio country. We are talking about the truth that will set us free as a nation, free as a people. Once again, our number is +44 7938 377 307.
Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian pharaohs. 1914 marriage did in war, set Biafra free. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian pharaohs. Oh, set my nation free, Britain. Oh, let my people go. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian pharaohs. 1914 marriage didn't work, so please let Biafrans go. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian fellows. People go, oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian pharaohs. 1914 marriage didn't work, set Biafra free. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian pharaohs. Oh, set my nation free, Britain. Oh, let my people go. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian pharaohs. 1914 marriage didn't work, so please let Biafrans go. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian fellows. For the love of Biafra and to the memories of our fallen heroes, we'll always remember you. This is Moby. It's been long 100 bloody years ever since the British locked us in.
And this marriage, as they said it before, was like oil and water.
It was teardropping when the folks
on this.
Welcome, caller. Welcome to Radio Biafra. Please, you are on. Hello, Mazi. You are welcome to Radio Biafra.
Okay, this is Nnamdi. I'm calling precisely from Ugocha.
Mazi.
So, a very big thank you for today's program. I never knew you started this. I realized that there was a time on Mazi Jonathan's program when he said it that you will be coming off, I think about, but I never knew you started such program. But at the same time, I'm thanking you for this. But because I wasn't giving attention while all the things you were saying, was making sense, So based on the ideology and also philosophy and what else again you talked about. And now something popped up in me. I said, okay, let me find out from you if I'm derailing or misconcepting you. And what is that? I think in our platform, which you to acknowledge, we are taught and reminded of a guy, a young youth in America in 1968. I think Bruce Meros, who killed himself when he was asking the world what did these children did that they were being murdered and killed and nobody is talking. And then this other man also, who was a notorious, or should I say, very conspicuous in the Christian religion, who was also asking the world, even Pope, what did these people did that the whole world look against them and nobody wants to stand on their side to redeem the children and their, generation. And nobody answered these two persons. Bruce Meros killed himself and burned himself alive in the afternoon in the US. He's not even a Biafran, neither is an Igbo. And this other man is not also a Biafran, neither is he even in Nigeria or even an African man. But out of religion or belief of Christianity, he felt that emotion and that sense of belonging to say, why are you killing these people? So my question, sir, if I'm not coming out, let me know, please. I'm in zoo where everything can happen.
Loud and clear, you're coming out. I just want to listen to you.
Okay. Okay, sir. So my question in this is, making this reference, I want to bring you back to your topic, which has to do with an ID. So this idea of a thing, you made a definition which is quite clear. And you bring in a reference to interpret the definitions, making reference of the fluid and all that, which is, it could be mutable and non-mutable. So looking into these two characters, should I now say that somehow, somewhere, that though I'm not there when the whole event took place, but I have a witness which has been recorded that such persons died because of Biafran war. And if it is not true, the American government would have altered it and say it's not true. So my question is that, why would those of us who are Igbos and Biafrans, irrespective of Igbos, why do we still believe that this history that is now repeating itself before us now is no longer a thing of, pushing in to get it right through our ID, calling our politicians out of their, walls of respecting the constitution of Nigeria, because in as much as I'm concerned, Nigeria has been inspired based on the history of amalgamation reports. So why is it that we are not really living in this, unmuted ID to represent who we are and say no to what our generation is facing and push out from the ideology of Nigerianism, if I might use that word? So that's my question, but I don't know if I made myself clear, because there are some complications in as much as I'm not a Buddhist, an atheist, a Hinduist, a Judaism, I'm a Christian, fine. But why is it that we, the Igbos, whose ID is in the blood, and we have believed that, yes, this situation happened, and we are seeing it today that we are being orchestrated to be wiped away? Why is it that we do not want to give attention to this? Is it something that need to be, as in biologically, erased from, I don't know how to put this question, but all I'm saying is that why is it difficult for the Igbo race to not to sit up and say no to this and without betrayal? Is it that the white men influence us and maybe injected something in our gene that we cannot realize that we are messing up at this moment? Thank you so much, sir.
No, Mazi, I had to be quiet because your questions are too many that if I interrupt, I will probably miss them. But before I go ahead to respond to, at least I think you've asked about 3 questions that I can think of in one. Before I go ahead and respond to that, there is something you said that is repeating itself. I did not get exactly what that is. You said to stop this thing that is repeating itself. Can you just in 1 second, just mention that thing for me so that I can be able to answer you properly?
Okay, should I say, put it this way? Is this some sort of a phobia that have gripped us, knowing too well that evidence of this has played out from the words of Ahmad Bello 2 weeks before the independence of Nigeria? Okay,
I get you.
I hope you've got.
Yeah. I get you now.
Yeah. Okay.
I get you now. Now, first of all, you talked about Bruce Merrock and another preacher who may or may not have spoken in support of Biafra, and Bruce Merrock went ahead to unalive himself for the sake of Biafra. Now, your question is basically, why should I still want to not identify with this person based on the common identity of Christianity and still insist on my ethnic identity? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Okay. All right. Now coming to that, in identification or in talking about your identity, you can have a sympathizer, which can be referred to as an identity ally. Someone who look at your philosophical argument, who look at your logic, who look at your plight, who look at, what you're going through and just agree or identify with you. Okay? You look at the supremacy of your logic and then say, oh, I think I sympathize with these people. I think these people are not treated fairly. We have Biafrans who sympathize with Iran in what is happening there. We have Biafrans who are sympathizing with Ukraine. Some are sympathizing with Russia. That does not make them Russians nor Ukrainians. That does not make them Iranian, Israelis, or Americans. These people are your allies. Ideologically, they are your allies. We have people that you share identity with. They are your identity sharer. You share identity with these people, and these are your kins and kin. These are your brothers, these are your blood. Okay? Now, I'm talking about in hierarchy of identity. That is where this one rises above any other. If you move a step forward, you can now say, okay, I practice Christianity, and anybody who practices Christianity is also my brother and my sister. Under that umbrella, we can commune. But that umbrella, immediately it seeks to threaten your core identity. You retreat and protect that which is immutable. You protect that which is unchangeable, because that is your core identity. Because you know what? You may be a Christian today. There is no guarantee whatsoever that tomorrow you will not be convinced by somebody else to be a non-Christian. There are people who were Christians before. There are preachers who today are not Christians. But there's never been anybody who was once Igbo, who was once Efik and no longer Efik. So because that one is immutable, that one is static, that one is fixed, you protect it above else. That is not to mean that there is no other identities you can adopt as you move forward. You can adopt other identity, like for example now, the people of Middle Belt. In Plateau State alone, there are more languages. When I talk about languages, not even similar. Not like Abriba and Ngwa. Not like Abakaliki and Oka. No. Talking about languages that have nothing to do with each other. They have more of those languages than you have in Nigeria put together. Now look at the entire Middle Belt. Because they have not been able to have a common identity, they have adopted Christianity as their common identity in a form of a confederacy. So when you talk about Christians of the Middle Belt, it's not because all of them are Christians. They are not all Christians. Some of them are traditionalists. But that identity is what they come under and feel protected. And it's the same under that identity that they are being killed. So these are But Bruce Merrick and whoever they are our allies, and there's nothing with you identifying as a Christian. But what I'm saying is that when the chips are down, you fall back to the major identity that you have. That is one. Secondly, you talk about the politicians and other people and why you were specific about the race you're talking about, the Igbo and the rest of them. I will say the entirety of Biafra has been affected by one thing: the vacuum that was created after the war. We went through a very, very traumatic situation. Some of us have not even come out from it till today. Some of us inherited that trauma because there have not been any means to express it. And after the war, people were shut up. People were meant to keep quiet. You can't even talk about your pain. How do you talk about the pain you experience in Biafra without talking about Biafra? You can't. The reason you and I are having this conversation today is because the idea of Biafra has been resurrected. And now we can talk about it. And now we can relieve our pain. On 30th May, we relieve our pain. In this month of May, we talk about it. You think Yakubu Gowon would have launched his book in May, if not because we are celebrating 30th May? Because you know it's going to go viral. So now we can talk about it. Now we are relieving the pain. And now we are also getting people to now feel more relaxed. So what we went through, there was a leadership vacuum that was deeply exploited by the Nigerian state and their paymasters. After the war, tell me, who became leaders in Biafra after the war? Nobody in the name of Biafra. Everybody that became leader in Biafra were people who were contracted to speak about one Nigeria. People who will slap you if you mention Biafra. People who will report you to the police if you mention Biafra. So they came in at a point where we needed the correct leadership the most, and they sent us a counterfeit. And those people have engineered our psyche for a very long time. You don't expect change to happen at a snap of our finger. No. I can tell you that, judging from what we went through, that we are doing really, really good right now in terms of working towards our progress. We are doing really, really good. There is no ethnic group in Nigeria that can go through that and be able to be where we are today. I believe that is your question. I thought it was 3, but I think I can't remember this because it was too long trying to keep up with the questions. There were Mazi.
Yeah, you explicitly explained everything to my understanding. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Then they take the knives, they so then the bombs and kill the hundreds each day.
Oh, set my nation free, these men, let my people go. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian fellows. 1914 marriage did in war, set Biafra free. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian fellows. Yesterday was better, today bad, and tomorrow be worse, I know.
Cause some days got forsaken contraption, this has been the tradition.
Through the years they've shut down factories in Biafra.
The number is +44.
Still like the stars of gain.
7938 377 307.
Let my people go. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian fellows. 1914 marriage did in war, set Biafra free. Oh, set my nation free, these Nigerian fellows. In the dawn of time, the sun will rise at last, dancing, feeling good. Our songs will sing at love, singing on in the dawn of time. The sun will rise at last, dancing, feeling good. Our songs will sing out loud. In the dawn of time, the sun will rise at last, the golden streets of Biafra. Whether we know it's the golden street of Biafra. Oh, set my nation free this land, let my people go. Oh, set my nation free these Nigerian pharaohs. 1914 marriage did in war, set Biafra free. Oh, set my nation free these Nigerian pharaohs. Oh, set my nation free.
Kawegola. Thank you very much, fellow Biafrans, for making this program today a successful one. We have had twice the number of viewers that I've had in the first few episodes. Lest I forget, we are still on the leadership series on this collective code. And this is the 6th episode. Today being the 25th day of May, 5 days before our almighty 30th May Remembrance Day. I hope you are preparing. I hope you're ready. Ndewano Umu Biafra. At this very point, we have come to a successful end of this wonderful program. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Kemesiano.
Oh, set my nation free these Nigerian pharaohs. 1914 marriage deed, walk so please let Biafrans go. Oh, set my nation free these Nigerian pharaohs.
Of difficulty. The rise of militant groups in the Sahel region, often with external backing, creates an environment of instability and fear. These groups, exploiting discontent and socio-economic disparities, pose a significant threat to Traore's government. His efforts to address extremism's root causes through development and inclusive governance face resistance, as external actors benefit from the chaos and use it as a pretext for intervention. Traore's safety is a constant concern. His security team must stay vigilant against assassination attempts and coordinated attacks. Intelligence reports have uncovered numerous plots against him, orchestrated by a mix of local and foreign actors. The complexity of these plots underscores the high stakes involved and the determination of his enemies. Despite these challenges, Traore draws strength from the unwavering support of the Burkinabe people. His grassroots connections and genuine concern for their welfare have built a strong base of support that has so far resisted his adversaries' efforts. The people's belief in his vision acts as both his shield and his sword, allowing him to move forward despite the dangers. Traore's ability to communicate his vision and rally the masses has been crucial to his resilience. His speeches, filled with messages of hope, resilience, and self-determination, deeply resonate with a population long yearning for change. This connection with the people makes it difficult for his enemies to turn public opinion against him, despite their best efforts. Moreover, Traore has strategically built alliances with other African leaders who share his vision. These alliances provide mutual support and create a network of solidarity that collectively resists external pressures. By promoting a Pan-African approach, Traoré not only strengthens his position, but also contributes to a broader movement to redefine Africa's place in the world. In the grand story of African liberation, Ibrahim Traoré's tale is still being written. His life, marked by courage and conviction, stands as a symbol of hope for those who dream of a future where Africa is free from external control. Yet, it also serves as a reminder of the great risks faced by those who pursue such a future. But has something like this ever happened before to African leaders? Historically, African leaders who dared to assert true independence and self-determination have faced similar perils. Patrice Lumumba of Congo, Thomas Sankara of Patrice Lumumba of Congo, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, and Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. All were leaders whose lives were violently cut short as they pushed against the currents of neo-colonial control. Their stories serve as stark reminders of the dangers Ibrahim Traoré faces as he walks a path fraught with peril. Patrice Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo, is one of the most notable examples. Lumumba's vision for a united, independent Congo free from the exploitative grip of foreign powers made him a significant threat to the established order. His tenure was marked by efforts to gain full control over the country's rich natural resources, which had long been plundered by colonial and corporate interests. Lumumba's refusal to align with Western powers during the Cold War and his appeal to the Soviet Union for assistance sealed his fate. In 1961, Lumumba was arrested, tortured, and ultimately assassinated with the involvement of both Belgian authorities and the CIA. His death symbolized the extreme measures that would be taken to prevent African nations from slipping out of Western control. Thomas Sankara, often called Africa's Che Guevara, is another tragic figure in the history of African liberation. As the president of Burkina Faso, Sankara implemented sweeping reforms aimed at reducing poverty, fighting corruption, and promoting gender equality. His policies included land redistribution, nationalizing key industries, and rejecting foreign aid, which he saw as a form of neo-colonialism. Sankara's vision of self-sufficiency and his bold rhetoric against Western imperialism made him a target. In 1987, he was assassinated in a coup d'etat orchestrated by his close ally Blaise Compaoré, who had the backing of foreign interests opposed to Sankara's radical changes. Sankara's assassination underscored the dangers faced by leaders who challenge international norms and local power structures. Muammar Gaddafi of Libya presents a more complex narrative. Gaddafi came to power in 1969 through a military coup that ousted the Western-aligned monarchy. Over the years, he pursued a vision of Pan-Africanism and sought to reduce Western influence in Africa. Gaddafi used Libya's oil wealth to fund various African liberation movements and proposed ambitious projects aimed at unifying the continent. However, his regime also became increasingly autocratic, leading to significant internal opposition. In 2011, amid the Arab Spring, a NATO-led intervention, purportedly to protect civilians, resulted in Gaddafi's overthrow and brutal killing. The Western powers' involvement in Gaddafi's demise highlighted the geopolitical stakes in Africa and the lengths to which external forces would go to protect their interests. These historical precedents show a clear pattern. African leaders who pursue genuine independence and challenge the global status quo often meet violent ends. Ibrahim Traoré's situation bears eerie similarities to these past leaders. His efforts to nationalize industries, reduce foreign dependency, and foster regional unity echo the policies that led to the demise of Lumumba, Sankara, and Gaddafi. This historical context amplifies the risks Traoré faces and underscores the precarious nature of his position. Now the question is, how far the external forces can go to attack Traoré. The most recent attempt on Ibrahim Traoré's life was a stark reminder of the volatile situation he faced as the leader of Burkina Faso. Gunfire erupted near the presidential residence, sending shockwaves through the capital, Ouagadougou. This brazen attack not only caused immediate alarm, but also ignited public protests, with Traoré's supporters pouring into the streets to show their unwavering support for his government. These incidents highlight the urgent need for robust security measures to protect Traoré and stabilize his administration. The night of the attack was tense. As shots rang out near the presidential residence, It became clear that this was not just a random act of violence, but a targeted attempt on Traore's life. Security forces quickly responded, engaging the assailants in a firefight that lasted several minutes. The attackers managed to escape, leaving behind a scene of chaos and fear. This attack was the latest in a series of attempts to destabilize Traore's government and eliminate him as a political threat. The immediate aftermath saw a surge of support for Traore. Thousands of Burkinabe citizens took to the streets of Ouagadougou, chanting slogans and waving flags in solidarity with their president. The spontaneous gathering was a powerful testament to the deep connection Traore has with his people. Many of the protesters vowed to defend his vision for a new Burkina Faso, free from the shackles of corruption and foreign exploitation. This public outpouring of support was both a show of unity and a warning to those who seek to harm Traore that the people stand firmly behind their leader. These public demonstrations underscore the immediate dangers Traore faces. The assassination attempt was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of threats that dogged his presidency from the start. Each attack serves as a reminder of the precarious nature of his position and the powerful forces arrayed against him. The urgency of the situation calls for enhanced security measures to protect not only Traore, but also the stability of Burkina Faso as a whole. Traore's leadership has been characterized by a series of bold reforms aimed at transforming Burkina Faso into a self-sufficient and prosperous nation. However, these reforms have also made him many enemies. By challenging the entrenched interests of foreign corporations and local elites, Traore has put himself in the crosshairs of those who stand to lose from his policies. The recent attack is a stark reminder that these adversaries are willing to go to great lengths to stop him. The need for robust security measures cannot be overstated. So, what is Ibrahim Traore doing to make himself protected? In response to these escalating threats, Ibrahim Traore has adopted a series of security measures, drawing inspiration from Russian methods known for their effectiveness in high-risk environments. His approach is multifaceted, combining increased personal security, advanced surveillance, and enhanced military capabilities to ensure his protection and stabilize his administration. These steps are crucial for maintaining his leadership and safeguarding Burkina Faso's sovereignty.
But turn around and go to Namibia. I was shocked. Namibians pay about $170 to get a visa to go to the United States, but Americans, when they go to Namibia, nothing, zero, not a penny. Just come. Now, guys, let's have a serious conversation here. Who is stupid? Whose problem is it? We are the problem. What is leadership doing? Leadership is doing nothing. Leadership is voting on sheer stupidity. Stupidity that is causing us havoc. The same people who are abusing us, taking advantage of us, exploiting us, they are laughing at us because we are jokers. What are we doing in our parliaments? And that is why you see what's happening in Burkina Faso, what's happening in Niger, what's happening in Mali. The youth are saying, now we know. Now our eyes are open. Now we know who the real problem is.